And we continue now with, I call him the great one, Mark Levin, and a first look at his brand new book, Liberty and Tyranny, a conservative manifesto. There's so much in this, we can't get it in, and people, you're going to have to go and read this because it's chock full of info.
I got plenty of time.
I can give you the whole hour. As the status is building a culture of conformity and dependency, you know, I thought about this. You listen to my radio show occasionally.
Right.
I do my man on the street interviews. People want daycare, dental care, health care, housing, a car, transportation, a limo, and they think that that's the constitutional role of government. You counter this in great detail.
Well, to put a fine point on it, freedom is freedom from coercion. And what the status says is you should have freedom from one, and we will deliver it. We will make the impossible possible. We will make that which is unequal equal. And they create devils. They turn citizen on citizen. And yet, their agitation and agitating is never done, is it? No. There is no limit to the power they want to take. How can you confine what the leftist wants to do, what the statist wants to do, once you've abandoned the Constitution? You have to rely on their judgment. They have no judgment. This is why they talk about a living and breathing Constitution. They want to get away from the limits on government, and you see it right now in spades.
We now see propping up all over the country these tea parties, and people are angry, and they've lost a lot of their money, and there's bailout mania fatigue here. You have a call to action here, and that is that it's going to be conservatives who've lacked the confidence and persistence to deal with the statism, but you also have a call to action towards the end of the book when you lay out your manifesto. Right. And the call to action is conservatives have got to be shrewder, smarter, they've got to be engaged, they tend to, you know, live and let live, as you say. So if people want to counter Barack Obama's European socialism, they must what?
They must do this. We are a bigger army than his little group that he's put together, than Acorn. There are tens of millions of us, hardworking Americans who follow the law, who believe in this country, who believe in the Constitution, the Declaration, who like Americans' traditions and values. What we need to do is reacquaint ourselves with the substance of our position so we have confidence to go out there and talk to our neighbors and our friends, grandparents talking to grandchildren, parents to children. We also need to stop allowing the statists to control these institutions. There's no reason they should control the media or academia or any of these institutions. We need to go get them.
Well, it's interesting because you're a constitutional attorney. You wrote the book Men in Black that was a huge, massive, big bestseller. But you said if the Constitution's meaning is erased or rewritten, and the framers' intentions ignored, which is a big study in your life, it ceases to be a constitution. Do you think the statist agenda is now unconstitutional and people have ignored it, and through incrementalism they've achieved this?
I think huge chunks. And look today, the First Amendment, they're attacking talk radio. They're coming for it. Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, they're coming after that. Fifth Amendment, the property rights. 10th Amendment, state authority. Almost every aspect of the Constitution's under attack. Unless you're a terrorist, then they want to give you, due process, right?
Yeah, in closed Gitmo. I want to talk to you specifically. You write about the free market, which I thought was because I'm a huge believer in capitalism. It brings the best out of people. While we're pursuing a standard of living for ourselves, we're creating, we're advancing the human condition and creating wealth that's been unprecedented in the history of mankind, and it is constantly under attack. You call the free market the most transformative of economic systems. It fosters creativity, inventiveness that we've never seen before.
And most of the problems in the free market are created by government, whether it's the government compelling banks to give out bad loans, as they did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, that led to the housing bust, first the boom and then the bust. Even the automobile industry. The automobile industry isn't an example of a free market. The government controls the labor force. It controls the product that they make. It controls management.
Safety standards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how these poor guys manage these companies to begin with. On the other hand, failure in the free market, it's not necessarily a good thing, but it's a productive thing.
My favorite chapter in the book is on faith and the founding. Because you and I, as friends, have talked a lot about our belief and faith and our families and all this. But you come at it from a very different point of view. You talk about it, reason cannot explain the creation of the universe. Reason, walk us through that a little bit.
Well, the framers were believers in the Age of Enlightenment, but they didn't worship it. So they believed in reason, and they believed in science, and they practiced it to some extent, but they also knew that man is spiritual. If you look at the Declaration of Independence, it talks about unalienable rights, God-given unalienable rights, and it references God 6 or 7 different times. There's a reason for that, because our unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are not conferred by man. They're not conferred by government. They cannot take them away legitimately. So the bottom line is we get these rights from something that's above. In my case, I believe it's God. Now, you might say, if you're conservative, well, I don't really believe in God. I'm an atheist. You can believe whatever you want. You can worship, you know, whatever you want, or not worship whatever you want. But the framers said correctly, we can't organize ourselves that way. We're organizing our society a very specific way, and this belief in natural law is the way we do it.
You know, look, I learned something in just about every sentence. For those of you out there that say, well, what can I do, what can I do? You're going to learn a lot from Mark's book, Liberty and Tyranny, A Conservative Manifesto, the antidote to massive European socialism.
Picture on there. I think it was 20 pounds lighter.
No, I got to tell you, you're a handsome guy.
Yes, well.
Yeah. Now, are you going to come back on the show? Do I have to beg you to come back?
Sure, I'll be here next year. Same time, same place.
Great one. Congratulations.
It's an honor. Thank you.
On 300 radio stations around the country, the great one, Mark Levin, in bookstores everywhere. And coming up, the highlights from President Obama's laugh-filled